Hi, I'm David Freeman from Ninja Division, and I'm here to talk about Relic Knights 2nd Edition today. We're going to get a little bit of an overview of a turn and go through some things so that if you're new to the game, you can get an overview of how some of the basics work, and if you're a veteran, you can get a look at some of the changes that are coming to 2nd Edition. So in Relic Knights, whose turn it is and what unit they're going to go with is governed by what's called the ready queue. So you'll set up a queue or a line of units that you're going to go with. We're representing that here with this card arrangement. So as you can see, Bang Bang is ready to go next. Then there's going to be Miss Kaylee. One of the changes in 2nd edition from the 1.5 in 1st edition is that hero units only use the queue now. Minion units must remain in idle, and they get activated. They can be activated by a hero unit when a hero unit moves over to start their activation or turn. The other thing Relic Knights uses to resolve things is this deck of cards, or these esper cards. So you'll have a hand of cards throughout the game, which you can discard to spend the elements or esper icons on them to pay for abilities. Sometimes you'll reveal cards from the deck or draw a bunch of cards from the deck to randomize. So the deck is used as a randomizer rather than a set of dice for games of Relic Knights. So this is the hand of the Radiant player here, and this is the hand of the Void player. Now, the Void player only does have the one model in our little example here. We're using her kind of as the defense for the stuff that's going to happen in the one activation that we're going to go through in our example. So, it's the Radiant player's turn. They're going to activate the hero that's waiting in the ready queue in the first slot. So that's Bang Bang. So she's going to move over into what's called the ready slot. That means that she's going currently. Now when a hero unit moves into the ready slot, they can take any minion unit that's in the idle pile and move them into the minion slot. That means that this minion is going to activate right after this hero as part of one big turn together, right? That way you need heroes for the minions to do stuff, and the vast majority of units are going to get used throughout the game. You're not going to have situations where one unit just sits there throughout the game, but you do break up activations of what happens between the two sides rather than having one side do everything all at once and then having the other side do everything on their turn. So, it's Bang Bang's activation. Now, when a unit activates, they're going to get to make an initial move, so they can move up to this first number here that's next to their wing-looking attribute. This is their movement. Then they can take an action, so they can pay for any of the actions that are on the back of their card. Once that action gets resolved, they could then make a follow-up move, which means they can again move up to the number that's the second of their movement attribute here. So Bang Bang could move up to 4 inches, take an action, and then move up to 5 inches as her follow-up move, and that would be the end of her activation. So she can move up to 4. She is standing right here, and she can already see our stand-in for Tahariel here. So she's actually just going to stay there because she just wants to shoot Tahariel to try and get her off the board, right? So now we're going to look at the back of the card and decide what action to take. So Bang Bang has a ranged attack called Deadeye. So she's going to use that on Tahariel because she wants to, like we said, shoot her, get her out of there. So we're going to look at our hand of Esper that we have here. Now Deadeye costs 2 green, 2 creation, and 1 yellow, so 1 essence, to trigger. To pay for it, to be able to do it, you have to be able to pay that out of your hand here, right? So we got to make 2 green. So we're going to take this card to make 2 green. And then we got to make 1 yellow. So we have 2 cards that'll make 2 yellow by discarding them. So that's what this big symbol means. Or we could discard this for 1 of any color. We'll go ahead and make 2 yellow even though we only need 1. You're going to lose any extra that you make. You don't get to carry it over or build a pool or anything like that. So she's paid for Deadeye, which means it's going to happen. Since you could see her, there is no range. You can shoot anything that you can see in Relic Knights. So these are going to get discarded. When Bang Bang makes a ranged attack, she gets to draw more cards. So she's got a ranged attribute of 3/1. That means when she attacks, she gets to draw 3 more cards. And if she gets attacked with a ranged attack, she would draw 1 more card. So since she's attacking, she's going to draw 3 more cards and add those to the Radiant player's hand. So 1, 2, and 3. So those cards all get added to her hand. Now, Bang Bang has a chance to play the presses that are listed under Deadeye. So anything with this icon with the arrows next to it is a press. That's something that you can pay for in addition to amp up the power or the effects of the ability that you're playing. So if I could pay 2 blue and 1 green, I would increase the damage from 5 to 9. So 2 blue, 1 green. Well, I've got it, but I want to save the blue that I want to save the esper I have for later in the turn for doing stuff with the Sundown Enforcer. That's my plan. So, and additionally, when the Sundown Enforcer moves in, you get the player that moved him into the minion slot gets to draw a card. So I get even one more card that I might be able to pay with. Ooh, unlucky. So this void card is a dead card. It can't be spent for anything. So unfortunately, it doesn't really change the situation a whole lot, even though it gave me a little bit more options, right? So I'm not going to pay for the press. I'm just going to do damage 5 to Tahariel with Bang Bang's Deadeye ability. So now we move over to Tahariel. We see that she has a ranged of 1-2, which means she's going to draw 2 more cards into the Void player's hand when a ranged attack gets made on her. So she gets 2 more cards. And then we're going to see if she has any defensive abilities she wants to play. So she has an ability called Chaos Shield. That's an armor ability. It adds armor to her to make her take less damage or harder to kill. So it does cost 3 orange, which is this chaos type of esper, right? So she's going to pay 2 by discarding that for the big one, for the primary esper. And she's going to pay 1 orange, so she makes 3 orange altogether by discarding these 2 cards. So they're going to go to the discard. And she uses Chaos Shield, so it adds 1 to her armor, says armor 1. And then it says flip 1. This action gains armor 1 for each chaos flipped. So we're going to flip over the top card, and if it has chaos on it, it's going to add more to her armor even, right? So it did have 1 chaos on it. So Tahariel got lucky, and she's going to gain 2 more armor from this rather than just 1. That's going to make her armor be a total of 3 since she already had 1 to begin with. Now Bang Bang's Deadeye does 5 damage, as we knew, and then it's going to minus Tahariel's armor of 3. So Tahariel's going to take 2 damage, so we're going to mark off 2 damage on her health track here. Now, that's the end of Bang Bang's action. So Bang Bang is going to, she could move up to 5 inches if she wanted to. So I'm going to have her run back behind this crate here so that she can hopefully hide from any repercussions to her aggressiveness. All right, so that's the end of her action. So she's going to go over here into the idle pile for now. And the Sundown Enforcers are going to move up into the ready slot. So now again, in the original versions of the game, you would get to reset your hand in between these 2 players going, or in between these 2 units going. But now you don't. So therefore, whatever cards that you generate from Bang Bang, you're going to carry over and use them to pay for things for the Enforcer. You'll also notice that minions don't have all the same stats that heroes do. This is because, again, heroes need to resource and be ready for the things to help pay for the things that minions do. So heroes are your resources, minions are kind of support and additional things to do throughout the game. The Sundown Enforcers do activate just like any other unit, so they can move up to 5 before they take their action. So they also want to attack Tahariel, and as we can see, they can't see Tahariel because they're too far back. This crate here is blocking their way. So they have an initial move of 5, so they're going to try and move out to get a line of sight on Tahariel here. So they're all going to move up. And then we're going to check to see if they can see. So looks like 2 of them can see, but 1 of them can't. So now they're going to take an action. So we're going to look at the back of their card as well. And they've got a ranged attack called Covering Fire, and they've got a defensive ability that will add armor to them, which they're not really going to be able to use right now. So they also want to attack Tahariel, so they're going to try and use Covering Fire on Tahariel. So they need to pay 2 blue. So we'll go ahead and look and see if they've got 2 blue. Yep, we've got 2 blue, so we're going to discard this to pay for the ability. Now, like I said, they don't have the same attributes that heroes do, which means therefore they're not going to draw any cards at this point that could help them pay for presses if they had any, which they don't. So it's damage 3. However, units of guys have an ability called Coordinated Attack. That means for every guy beyond the first that can see the target, they're going to add 1 damage, because they're all firing at the same thing when they use this ability, right? So since 2 guys can see her, it's going to be damage 4 rather than damage 3. Now, Tahariel is getting shot at again, so she does get to draw cards again since she's a hero. So she's going to draw 2 cards. And then she again gets a chance to play a defensive ability. So her only defensive ability is this Chaos Shield. So if she's got 3 Chaos, she can pay for it. So there's 2 right there. And it's not looking like she has more, but for Tahariel, her cadre ability is called Heart of Darkness, and it says units in your cadre may spend void cards as though they were radiant cards, which means they can be spent like the wild card that we saw, this one here. So Tahariel's cadre can spend these cards, which are normally dead cards, as one of any color. So she's going to spend this card as well as an orange one, and she's going to play Chaos Shield again to help protect herself. So we're going to flip one more. Didn't get any chaos on that. This does actually get shuffled back in after the flip. So no bonus armor. It's going to take her armor up to 2 because it adds 1 to the one she already has. And that's going to minus 2 from the 4 damage that Covering Fire was going to do. So she's going to take 2 more damage. And then the Enforcers can move up to 4 now. But they're pretty tough. Well, I guess we want to get that one last guy in who couldn't see before. So we're going to go ahead and measure, and they're going to move up again, and they're going to put themselves in the way of Bang Bang getting attacked back, because honestly we want to keep our knight alive longer. She's worth more victory points as well. So now the Sundown Enforcers are going to go to the idle pile as well. Minions, when they go to the idle pile, they get what's called an exhaustion token, which makes it so that they can't be used again until another minion has gone before them, but we don't necessarily need that right now. We're not really going to go on. That's just so you know. But we do have to reset the queue, so we're going to put Bang Bang back in, and she's going to go again after Miss Kaylee has had a chance to go. This is the end of the Radiant player's activation, though, so they have to discard down to having 5 cards if they have more than 5. If they do, this is a dead card for them, so they're definitely going to discard that one. They also, at this point, can discard any number of cards that they want. So these cards that they don't need these colors, really. They're going to discard both of those and draw back up to having 5 going into the Void player's activation. The Void player, the defending player, just has to discard down. So they have 5, so they're not going to discard any cards. But they don't get the option of discarding whichever cards they want and drawing back up because they're not the active player. So, like I said, that's the end of the Radiant player's activation. They'd go over to the Void player who would do the same thing. And play would continue, as you just saw, until one player had scored enough victory points to end the game. You can score victory points by destroying opposing models, by interacting with objectives or victory conditions, and the first player to 8 wins the game immediately. So that's an activation in Relic Knights 2nd edition. Head on over to the Kickstarter and download the rules packet. It has the complete rulebook and the cards for these Radiant and Void cadres that are going to come in the 2-player starter. And then you can get involved in the discussion in the comments and in providing feedback directly to us on those things. Follow our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook or join us on Twitter and Instagram and other social media for more updates and news and for more videos like this one. Thanks for joining us today.